καλάμι τους θα τους αφήσω στο Θεό για να τους πει. Θα τους αφήσω στο Θεό για να τους πει. Ως και το χαρώ να το νικήσω απ' την αγάπη σου παίρνω τη δύναμη. Ως και το χαρώ να το νικήσω. Κάνω το πέταγμα μου. Έλα Τζόρτζ. Εγώ μαϊτός και εσύ είσαι τα φτερά μου. Κι όταν μου φεύγεις μακριά κάνω το πέταγμα μου. Παίρνω τη δύναμη όλους τους πόνους να τους αντέξω. Απ' την αγάπη σου παίρνω τη δύναμη. Λίγες που μου άνοιξες να τις γιατρέψω. Αγάπη σου παίρνω τη δύναμη. Λίγες που μου άνοιξες να τις διαγρέψω. Εγώ μαϊτός είσαι τα φτερά μου. Κι όταν μου φεύγεις μακριά κάνω το πέταγμα μου. Εγώ μαϊτός και εσύ είσαι τα φτερά μου. Κι όταν μου φεύγεις μακριά κάνω το πέταγμα μου. And now, ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome to the floor the bride and the groom. Thank you. Here they come, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Give them a big round of applause. Thank you for the bride and the groom. Thank you. Βασιλίτσα μου και ματζουράνα μου, σιδερή βασιλίτσα μου και ματζουράνα μου, εσύ θα με χωρίσεις από τη μάνα μου. Εσύ θα με χωρίσεις από τη μάνα μου. σιδηρή βασιλικιά μου και αερούσα μου, σιδηρή βασιλικιά μου και αερούσα μου, στις άκρες το βουνιό σου θα κάνω σούσα μου, στις άκρες το βουνιό σου θα κάνω σούσα μου. Έβγα στο παραθύρι, κρυφά τη Joannas σου. Έβγα στο παραθύρι, κρυφά τη Joannas σου. Και κάνε πως φωτίζεις την ματζουράνα σου. Και κάνε πως φωτίζεις την ματζουράνα σου. Να σου ζήσει Γιώργη μου, να σας ζήσει ρε παιδί, να σας ζήσει. Έτσι πράγμα να ζήσετε, αυτό είναι lovely, lovely. Έβγα στο παραθύρι, που τσιμπούν οι αυλοί. Έβγα στο παραθύρι, που τσιμπούν οι αυλοί. Όταν βρήσε και δώσ' μου και μένε ένα φίλι. Όταν βρήσε και δώσ' μου και μένε ένα φίλι. Χόρεψε να λιώσεις τα παπούτσια. Χόρεψε Joanna, χόρεψε να λιώσεις τα παπούτσια. Για σε καλάω λιώνει φως, κοράζει σου την ουρκά. Για σε καλάω Γιώργη σου, κοράζει σου την ουρκά. Κι ο ήλιος σε σκοτεινιάσε και έφυγε η μέρα. Ο ήλιος σε σκοτεινιάσε και έφυγε η μέρα. Και σήμερα παντρεύσαμε μπροστά με περιστέρα. Και σήμερα παντρεύσαμε μπροστά με περιστέρα. Αυτό είναι το παιδιά, έτσι πράγμα, να ζήσετε. Λάβετε. Να ζήσεις Joanna, μην κλαίεις, να ζήσεις να γεράσεις. Μην κλαίεις Joanna, μην κλαίεις, να ζήσεις να γεράσεις. Και ο Γιώργης είναι πολλά καλός, δεν θα καλό περάσεις. Και ο Γιώργης είναι πολλά καλός και να καλό περάσεις. Αυτό είναι έτσι, μπράβο. Γεια σου Τάκη. Γεια σου Τάκη, σεξι. σε κάθε μέρα στο σπίτι μου αναγιώθηκες να αρκείσαι κάθε μέρα. Να ζήσει να κεράσει, τα δωρόινο παραμάσαμε, να ζήσει να κεράσει, ας λίγο βαρνάβει, λίγο εμπρόζω. Σωστή καμπάνα κρέμεται στον Άινα Θανάση. Σωστή καμπάνα κρέμεται στον Άινα Θανάση. Αντρόινο παραμάσαμε, να ζήσει να κεράσει. Αντρόινο παραμάσαμε, να ζήσει να κεράσει. Έτσι, μπράβο, Joannas, να ζήσετε. Lovely, lovely. Αυτό είναι. Αυτό είναι ρε παιδιά, ρε Γιώργη, σήκω στην μάνα τώρα. Όλοι δικοί σου. Καλά, να ζήσετε. Αυτό είναι, πώς θα την κάναμε στη θέση. Έτσι, μπράβο. Όπα. Lovely, lovely. Όπα. Μπράβο, αυτό είναι. οι γαραντές να κρεμαστούν οι σούστες. Ήμουνα οι γαραντές να κρεμαστούν οι σούστες. Να δουν συγγέρα μάτια μου πολλές μαυροματούσες. Να δουν συγγέρα μάτια μου πολλές μαυροματούσες. Για ρούμπι, για ρούμπι, για ρούμπι, ρούμπι, ρούμπι. Για ρούμπι, για ρούμπι, για ρούμπι, ρούμπι, ρούμπι. Μαριάννα τσίκι τσίκι πάστα, τα ποτήρια σπάστα και τα πληρώνω εγώ. Μαριάννα τσίκι τσίκι πάστα, τα ποτήρια σπάστα και τα πληρώνω εγώ. Έχεις πάνω σου, τα μάτια σου μ' αρέσαν. Από να που έχεις πάνω σου, τα μάτια σου μ' αρέσαν. Γιατί είναι μαύρα και μορφά και κουναγιάδες μέσα. Γιατί είναι μαύρα και μορφά και κουναγιάδες μέσα. Για ρούμπι, για ρούμπι, για ρούμπι, ρούμπι, ρούμπι. Για ρούμπι, για ρούμπι, για ρούμπι, ρούμπι, ρούμπι. Μαριάννα τσίκι τσίκι πάστα, τα ποτήρια σπάστα και τα πληρώνω εγώ. Μαριάννα τσίκι τσίκι πάστα, τα ποτήρια σπάστα και τα πληρώνω εγώ. Σκοτώνω σε, κλάψε πολύ μου κλάψε. Απόψε με σκοτώνω σε, κλάψε πολύ μου κλάψε. Και βγάλε μου το γεύμα μου και το όνομα σου γράψε. Και βγάλε μου το γεύμα μου και το όνομα σου γράψε. Για ρούμπι, για ρούμπι, για ρούμπι, ρούμπι, ρούμπι. Για ρούμπι, για ρούμπι, για ρούμπι, ρούμπι, ρούμπι. Μαριάννα τσίκι τσίκι πάστα, τα ποτήρια σπάστα και τα πληρώνω εγώ. Μαριάννα τσίκι τσίκι πάστα, τα ποτήρια σπάστα και τα πληρώνω εγώ. Και τα πληρώνω εγώ. Και τα πληρώνω εγώ. Αυτό είναι, παιδιά, να ζήσει. Έτσι, μπράβο, κουμπάρι. Αυτό είναι. Ξεκινάει μια ψαροπούλα απ' το γυαλό, απ' το γυαλό. Ξεκινά μια ψαροπούλα απ' την ήρα τη μικρούλα και πηγαίνει μια σφουγγαριά όλο γυαλό, όλο γυαλό. Ξεκινά μια ψαροπούλα απ' την ήρα τη μικρούλα και πηγαίνει μια σφουγγαριά όλο γυαλό, όλο γυαλό. Γεια σας ρε παιδιά, γεια σου κουμπάρι μου να ζήσεις. Λοιπόν, άλλος κουμπάρι ρε παιδιά, όλοι κουμπάρι ελάτε να είμαι κοντά. Να σας βλέπουμε, you know. Έτσι να είμαι κοντά μας, you know. Αυτό είναι, lovely, lovely. Έτσι, μπράβο. Thank you. you, George. After you, lovely, thank you. Έτσι, μπράβο, αυτός είσαι, να ζήσεις. Άλλος κουμαρούδι. Έλα. Γεια σου, κουμπάρε. Γεια σου κουμπάρε να ζήσεις. Thank you. Άλλος κουμπάρε, παιδιά. Όλοι κουμπάρε, ελάτε να με κοντά να βλέπουμε. Thank you. Γεια σου Joanna. Έτσι, μπράβο. Thank you, παιδιά. Thank you. Αυτό είναι. Γεια σου Κόκο. Lovely. Όπα. Έτσι. Αυτό είναι. Thank you. Έτσι. Thank you. Αυτό είναι. Thank you. Αυτός είναι κουμπάρε μου να ζήσεις. Να ζήσεις κουμπάρε. Άλλος κουμπάρε. Αυτό είναι. Γεια σου Νίκο. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you. Thank you, συμπέθερε. Να σε ζήσω. Γεια σου κουμπάρε να ζήσεις. Αυτός είσαι. Άλλος κουμπάρε παιδιά. Γεια σου George. Thank you. Lovely. Έτσι, μπράβο. Thank you. Thank you very much. Lovely. Γεια σου κουμπάρε να ζήσεις. Μπράβο, thank you. Thank you κουμπάρε. Thank you, Sula. Αυτός είναι πάρει να ζήσεις. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sula. Αυτό είναι, τι κάνουμε, lovely. Όπα. Thank you. Γεια σου, κουμπάρε να ζήσεις, είσαι μπόμπα, αυτός είσαι. Έλα. Thank you. Αυτός είσαι. Lovely, lovely, thank you. Γεια σου κουμπάρε, να ζήσεις. Αυτός είσαι, thank you. Lovely, να ζεις κουμπάρε. Αυτός είσαι. Έτσι, μπράβο. Όπα. Lovely, lovely. Όπα. Thank you, Joanna. Έτσι, μπράβο, ρε παιδιά, αυτό είναι. Thank you, Sula. Αυτό είναι κουμπάρε να ζήσεις. Έλα, αυτός είναι κουμπάρε μου. Όπα. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. Γεια σου κουμπάρε μου, αυτός είσαι. Γεια σου κουμπάρε, να ζήσεις. Αυτός είσαι. Άλλος κουμπάρε, παιδιά. Γεια σου ρε Γιώργη. Thank you. Αυτό είναι. Πολύ κουμπάρε. Άιντα. Lovely, lovely. Αυτό είναι κουμπάρε. Σε μπράβο. Κάμερα Τζόρτζ. Ελείψανε κουμπάρε. Άντε ρε Άντι. Τζόνι, come on. Thank you, Sulla. Αυτό είναι να ζήσεις. Είπα ρε παιδιά, είναι μου γίνανε κουμπάρι. Πούντο. Άντε Πίτερ. Αυτός είσαι, να ζήσεις. Λοιπόν, you look like Paul Walsh. You know, como la salsa y como la salsa y Ya Mustafa, ξαπλώνεις τα κάλια μου, να μου βέρνεις τα φίλια μου. Για Μουσταφά, για Μουσταφά, εσύ μου ανάψες φωτιά, εσύ μου ανάψες φωτιά. Για Μουσταφά, για Μουσταφά. Μες του φάγιο την έλα τη μεγάλη, μες στο μεθύσι και μες στη ζάλη. Κάποια κάνουν απάνω στο σερτάδες, με πόνο λέει στο Μουσταφά της. Για Μουσταφά, για Μουσταφά, εσύ μου ανάψες φωτιά, εσύ μου ανάψες φωτιά. Για Μουσταφά, για Μουσταφά. Έτσι, μπράβο, Ηλιάνα. Μπράβο, αυτό είναι. Λοιπόν, ρε παιδιά, εδώ θα μας χορεύσει ένα τσιφτετέλι, η νύφη, με την πρώτη κουμέρα, με την Έφη. Έφη, ελάτε κοντά. Σκεφτείτε ένα σιρτό, μάλιστα. Έτσι, μπράβο, κοπέλα, να ζήσετε. Ξεκινάει μια ψαρομούλα απ' το γυαλό, απ' το γυαλό. Ξεκινάει μια ψαρομούλα απ' την υδατή πικρούλα και πηγαίνει μια σοδαριά, όλο γυαλό, όλο γυαλό. Ξεκινάει μια ψαρομούλα απ' την υδατή πικρούλα και πηγαίνει μια σοδαριά, όλο γυαλό, όλο γυαλό. Έτσι, μπράβο, όπα. Εκεί μέσα πάλι η καρδιά, απ' το γυαλό, απ' το γυαλό. Εκεί μέσα πάλι η καρδιά που βουτάνε για σοδαριά, ίσες και μαργαριταριά, απ' το γυαλό, το γυαλό. Έχει μέσα πάλι η καρδιά που βουτάνε για σοδαριά, ίσες και μαργαριταριά, απ' το γυαλό, το γυαλό. grazie, bravo.
Hello everyone and welcome to another evaluation. This time it's Joanna's wedding. Why DVD this or evaluate it? It was a long time ago. I mean, Joanna's divorced now. But I don't know. What do you do? Okay, take the video and throw it into the dustbin. That's just not me, you know what I'm saying. You know, you watch a DVD or you watch something from 20 years ago. Takes you back to that time. I know some people would say, what for? You know, some people might say you're living in the past. Well, maybe there might be some truth in that, but I live in the past, present and future. Do you know what I'm saying? I live in many different time zones because I have many different videos. But anyway, we're talking about now Joanna's wedding. Okay, so this wedding was done by a guy called Video Rasses, the name of his company. He used to compete with me, you know, he used to be there when I used to do my wedding videos. He was right next to me in the Greek paper and we used to compete with each other. But if you have a look, I mean, his equipment cost £18,000. How do I know this? I found out, and you know, as I was competing with him, we phoned him up one day to find out how much he charges and everything, you know, to compare prices because I'm doing them myself. He was saying that his camera wasn't moristigin. That means it wasn't a toy camera. Well, he's using a 3-chip camera, but he's using U-matic. U-matic was a good system if you compared it to VHS, but he's using a 3-chip camera. I used to use a half-chip camera, but I used to use SVHS. 330 lines he used to have on his camera. I don't want to waffle on about the quality, but the thing is, this is the tape. I particularly wanted to convert this because if you have a look, that's the only picture I've got of Joanna, by the way, anyway, so you'll see that picture all the time in the video. But this is an SVHS tape, but I had the original of Joanna's, which was on VHS tape. I really thought it was really clear. If you see digital pictures today, this video is not really that clear. Having said that, remember it's VHS copied onto SVHS. I don't think it's as clear as SVHS myself. Comparable. But I spent only a couple of £1,000, not £18,000. I mean, he says that his camera is not moristigin, but I think it wasn't worth it. But let's have a look at what he can do. Let's play the title sequence. Okay, so we have here the title sequence. And look, you've got Joanna. I mean, this is the first shot. You've got Joanna and George. They're out of focus. I mean, these are things that are unforgivable. And then he hasn't got the ability. He's paid 18,000. I know there was not computers in those days to actually get, you know, a nice crisp interchange between shots. He can't blend the shots between the shots, and that's really. He's not zooming in on the pictures, so the pictures are really small. You get the bars on each side, and the pictures are not really small. And then he's have a look at this. Okay, the geezer can't even spell. I mean, even I know that Buyuka is spelled with a Y. It's not Buguka. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, they actually got this video man to do Joanna's daughter's christening a few years later. Instead of Guy's Hospital, it was Gay's Hospital. I mean, that is totally unforgivable. I mean, the guy, I mean, he's probably a nice guy. Here he is here. You know, the video man's probably a nice guy, but I mean, these are elementary mistakes that really make him look like a prat. You know, I mean, those are totally unforgivable mistakes. And you show the writing of the bridesmaids and everything, and you don't see the bridesmaids. Really, really, really slappy title sequence. Now, I wasn't here. I didn't want to redo this wedding video to make it, you know, the guys made a lot of mistakes. I left them all in, but I had to do this title sequence again, so I'm running them both together now. And on the top, up there, you see the original, how it played, and at the bottom you see my improvement.
Με κοιτάς στα μάτια βαθιά, με μια αγάπη σαν φωτιά.
Τις αισθήσεις ξεπερνάς, μες στο σώμα μου βαθιά σαν περνάς.
Σαν τραγούδια της σιωπής, τα φιλιά
Now you have to admit, I mean, I did that in 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I didn't correct the Buguka, so Buyukas becomes Buguka, and it's enough to make you want to Buyukas, you know what I'm saying? But, and if you have a look, you can see that I also corrected the part where you have the bridesmaids and you actually see the bridesmaids. As I said, I only had 2 pictures to do this wedding video with. I did not have any pictures. The quality of the video to take stills from wasn't good enough. The guy is at the house. Let's talk about this video a little bit in order. So George is being prepared and everything. I cut this completely out on this. I actually, on this version for instance, George is getting ready during the title music. It was half an hour and you saw, there's one thing you don't want to have in a wedding video. You don't want to see the groom's bare chest. You know what I mean? I mean the bride's bare chest, yes, that's something that you'd want to see. But the groom's bare chest, so all these scenes, I show you it here, just briefly, I cut all this out and actually made the video flow straight away into the scene where he gets into the Porsche. So here you can see George and his father coming out to get into the car. A very handsome man, George's dad, nice head of hair on him. And I like the old classic moustache, you know, very, very distinctive sort of guy. Anyway, they're getting into this Porsche. Now, it's not hired. I think that's Hambiz's Porsche. Well, he's driving it, so it must be his Porsche. So he probably said, I'll, you know, take you in something flash. And they're saying, yeah, we'd love to go to the wedding in a Porsche. But they get into the car, and the poor father, the Porsche, you know, it's designed for the driver, you know, and the co-driver. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not designed for passengers. And he's sort of crouching down, you know, the most undignified moment you could imagine. So here we are at Joanna's house. Now, their family is, you know, they've got a notoriety of not planning a wedding out before they do it. I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to tell you, but at Nicole's wedding, I'll never forget George actually taps the bride on the shoulder during the wedding ceremony at the church and says to her, "Did you bring the table plan?" I said, "Yeah." Well, Nicole turned around. Yeah, I said, "Yeah, hang on, priest, can you stop saddling me for a second? I'm just going to get the table plan from inside underneath my dress." Do you know what I'm saying? I don't remember any mishaps like that at Joanna's wedding. But the only thing I can say is she's wearing a wedding dress that is much too big. She had to hold that all night. You'll see that later on. And even at the table, it's so tight for her to sit down at the table, and they've got everyone sitting there. I don't know how Joanna actually squeezed in there. But to say something bad about the video man, Mr. Video Rasses, you need a good backdrop. Now, I know that room, that's Joanna's mum's flat. I know that room, she's got some nice furniture around. But look, they're facing Buyuka's old-fashioned stereo system and a really plain wall. It's just a horrible angle for that shot. And then, I mean, Egli and the bridesmaid, they're not even in this video. This video is 3 hours long, and the bridesmaid are not in this video enough. You know, you see the video man pan across, and you see Egli for 1 second, and it's literally 1 second. And then in the church, I'll go forward into the church scene, and this is a lovely shot. You see Egli and the bride and groom, and you hear the video man saying, "Get out of the way, Egli." I mean, that is actually totally really amateurish by the video man. Really does not know what he thinks he knows what he's doing. But remember, he's Greek and he thinks he knows what he's doing. I'm Greek and I actually know what I'm doing. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't do things like that. So the video man uses this system. He thinks he's being clever. I don't think he's being clever here, but what he does is he wants to continually film so that he can get the soundtrack completely, so there's no stops, tip tap tap tip, you know what I'm saying? So what he does is, if he shakes the camera at all, he will just press his pause button. I don't know how he does it on his machine, you know, there was no computers then. So he'd press his pause button and then suddenly he would fade into a shot that was okay. Well, look how he does it here at the house. He sees my sister, for instance, and he pauses, and my sister looks like, you know, she's hypnotized and looking into empty space. Now you'll see that all the time in this wedding video. You know, it's sort of a way of getting the video man out of trouble. But have a look at this scene later on in the wedding. And now you can see that it didn't really get him out of trouble in that particular one. So as Joanna and her dad go to the car to go to the church, you're hearing bell noises. You know, you already hear the noises of bells. You know, I mean, her house is in Bermondsey, and the church is in Camden Town. It's St Andrew's Church. It's where I got christened. But anyway, you know, what church? What bells are those? That's another mistake by my friend Video Rasses. You know, it's absolutely useless. Of course, you could say that they're hearing the sounds of the bow bells. You know, which would be, you know, it would be characteristic of them and their family, you know, from, you know, being Cockney. You know, it's a classic thing. You know, if you can hear the bow bells, you know, you're considered a Cockney. Whereas in Joanna's case, whether you hear the sound of the bow bells or not, you know, she's a Cockney. So outside the church you can see everybody, and you can hear my sister. Have a look, you can only just about see this. and they were at the house, and my sister didn't know the way back. They didn't wait for her at the traffic lights, and they just went on. And apparently he had the mother-in-law or someone important that came from Cyprus, and they were saying, "Oh, we've come all this way and we're going to miss the wedding." Do you know what I'm saying? So now we have the church ceremony. Nothing really to say about that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just talk about a few of the people that are going to do the ring change. So let's just have a look at that. Okay, this is Theo and Georgina. Georgina Zambas and Theo. Theo is Hambiz's son. I think he's had it in us for a long time. Jimmy made fun of him as he was a fan of Elvis Presley. Nothing wrong with that. I like Elvis Presley as well. But Jimmy Cherylambidis made fun of him at 1979, I think it was Chris's christening, my nephew. And since that day, he's never been a friend of ours. I remember at Philip's wedding, you know, he came up, he was collecting the Gumbaro's money. And like me, for instance, when I collect Gumbaro's money from people, if I'm a brother Gumbaro's and everything, I'm actually embarrassed to ask money from people. But he came up and go, 30 quid. Yeah. No, you know what I'm saying. I was going to actually put it on a pole and, you know, stuff it up his, his alimentary. You know what I'm saying? But you know, it's something. Well, we've never liked Theo, and that's never going to change. Georgina, yeah. What to say about Georgina? You know, not really much. There's a classic Georgina wedding. Very sort of jealous person. I mean, you know, I shouldn't really go into detail like this, but they had a very expensive wedding, more of an expensive wedding that they could afford. The only reason that they had that expensive wedding was because Minnie's cousin, Telly, it was Telly and his bride to be. You know, and I can just imagine his bride to be. That's another story there as well. But they had this really flash wedding, and you know, they were talking in this. Oh well, we're going to have that as well. I look up to them that, you know, they saved up enough money to have a really grand wedding, but the only reason they had that grand wedding was out of Zilla. Okay, I will talk about that another time. So this is the teacher, Andy's teacher at the Greek school, and Andy told me a story where it turned out one day that he was there only with him and this teacher, the Greek lesson, and he used to say what a bad boy he used to be when he was young, you know, getting into trouble and doing this and that and that and this. Poor old Andy had to listen to his life's history. But that's one of the teachers at the old Greek school. And here we have Zambas. What we're going to say, that's Georgina's dad. Now there was a story, he used to work at Mihalis, that's Minazi's uncle's fish shop. I'm not sure exactly where it was, but it was in the Camberwell area. Mihalis has sold it now, obviously, it's a long time ago. He used to eat there every night, so he used to feed his 4 kids on the social, you know what I'm saying? You know, he used to feed himself every night, and apparently Minnie was telling me, he goes, one night, can't you eat somewhere else? I said, the guy does work there, come on. If I was working there and everything, I'd be eating in the fish shop every night as well. But apparently he's now retired. He's actually got nothing. He used to gamble. I don't think he was too addicted to gambling. Very nice chap actually, always was nice to me. But Buyukas told me, or Bugukas, depends how you like to say it, he told me he's retired now in Cyprus. He's living off his brother's money. And I remember Buyuka saying that was a bit of a resili, living off his brother's money in a retirement. And with the £100, you know your £100 pension that you get from England, £100 translates now to €100 in Cyprus. €100, you can do nothing. So, you know, he must be finding the going a little tough. I don't know who he is, this guy, but he always says hello to me and everything. Joanna would say, don't you know who that guy is? I don't really. I see him all the time, that guy. He's a really nice guy, always knows who I am. Hello Andrew, you know, that kind of thing. Here's old Lady Penelope. You know, really, you know, in the Lady Penelope. That's Fedra, the secretary of the school. There she is there. And that's Philip and my sister. Philip's the wedding that we went to that I just told you that Theo asked for the money, the 30 quid abruptly. I have to praise Effie. She's wearing a dress. She's not the kind of woman to wear a dress, if you know what I mean. It's like someone asking you or I to go to a wedding in a dress. She must have been uncomfortable in that all night. But then here we have the Zambuthkia. I call them the Zambuthkia. This is Bob and Sock. You know, they're the kind of people that they don't have too much trouble getting girlfriends. I remember going to the wedding and, you know, always look around, you know, this girl's nice and that girl's nice. When I used to leave the wedding, nothing. These guys, even at this wedding, 5 minutes later, 2 girls picked up and they're off. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, they were the ugliest children that you could ever imagine when they were 6, 7 years old. I used to call them the 2 Georges. I've mentioned that before. But, you know, all credit to them, you know. They are very good looking guys now. And here we see the lad himself. You know, that's me changing the rings now. And you see little Chrissy, my little nephew Chrissy. And nicely, I'm changing the rings with a nice looking girl, so at least I should get commendation for that. Okay, so here we have Joanna and George entering the reception, and well, nice scene. Just watch it for a second and tell me, see if you notice anything here.
And here they come, ladies and gentlemen, George and Joanna. Thank you. Lovely, lovely.
Yes, I bet you no one did notice. They're on the wrong side. Joanna is leading George around the dance floor. It's not how it's supposed to be. The guy's on the inside. He pulls the bride's slightly behind. Someone might say that I'm a bit sexist here. It's nothing to do with that. It's just, well, you can tell who's going to be wearing the trousers in this relationship. Joanna's literally leading George around. I do feel a bit sorry for him actually at this particular point. And as they go down, look at this, look at the table. I said it just earlier. You know, Joanna's got this big dress, you know, with this, you know, bamboo that keeps the dress in a sort of bow. And she's going to sit at this table. I really feel, how the hell is she going to fit in here, you know, in that particular slot of the table? I will never know. Okay, so now we're going around the tables and I'm going to talk about a few of the people around the table. You know, I know it's pretty bad, but you know, it's nice to get an insight into, you know, what's going on, you know. Okay, there's Johnny the singer and Sadiri. Nice little hairdo. I see these 2 girls here. Let me just pause it. Yeah, Tony. I don't know if you remember my friend Tony. He actually took a fancy to these girls. I wouldn't have touched these 2 girls with a barge pole. Apparently, the 2 girls told him to you-know-what off. Given the sweet FA, you know, I would have never have given these girls the chance to do that. They really are the frumpiest girls I've ever seen. And here's me. I went over to the table. I was sitting on Andy's table and I went over to the table to talk to Bumble and everything. Mr. Personality. I mean, even the way Bumble's looking at me, have a look, you know, he's sort of saying, yeah, right, you know. There was just no atmosphere on that table. And I'm always saying that it's always the atmosphere on the table that makes you enjoy a place. If you go and sit on a table where people just don't want to talk to you, do you know what I'm saying? And go onto a table where you're having a laugh and you can say anything you like without people sort of judging you. It's a very, very big difference. But Mr. Personality didn't really help enhance that wedding. I don't like to be stereotypical here. Have a look at the guy here. Now, who looks like the mafiosi on this table? So you see this guy here, well, he is a stereotypical of the mafiosi. I heard a story at that time that he actually did an armed robbery to actually pay for his sister's wedding. I thought that was quite good, and Sulla told us the story, and she thought that it was really honourable of him to make this armed robbery to pay for his sister's wedding. So at least out of that robbery he got the sister's wedding, but probably made widows of 2, maybe 3 people on the way. So I thought that was pretty honourable as well. And this is exactly the kind of thing that you don't want to happen. You don't want the video man to come to your table and everyone's gone to the toilet or something. Your whole family's gone to the toilet. That's Leon's, John and little Anna's dad. And he's sitting on the table, trying to act cool, sort of messing about with his cufflinks. But really, he's looking, I don't want to be bad, but he's looking like a bit of a pathetic soul. And that's the guy, I'm pretty sure, who worked with Andy and Joanna at Andy's uncle's cafe. And he was the one who said to Joanna, "Are you inviting me because you want me to come or you want the money?" And he goes, "No, I'm inviting you because you're really handsome." Do you know what I'm saying? Of course she's inviting you for the money. But at least I respect Joanna on that particular occasion, because at least she was honest about it. And here we see the young version of Johnny. Johnny the singer who used to sing with his sister. Well, not used to, they still sing. Apparently the story here was that he was going to do a duet with Nicole. But when Joanna heard it, she said, "You're not doing that at my wedding." Everyone says that this guy's got talent in his family. I've heard him sing about 10 times and 9 times he's been out of tune. They say that he's got talent. I think he's good, but you can't be good 1 time out of 10 and blame the other 9 times on a bad microphone. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so this is Georgina and Chris, and I talked about Georgina before, but their little son was he was a little terror. He was punching everybody, and his dad told him off, but he was a little nasty little kid, and I'm sure that they have actually got the kid that they deserve. There's Andy and Overo. Tony doesn't seem to appear in the actual official Joanna's wedding, but here he is here. They're actually lucky to get a seat round the table, because Andy kept on saying all the time to Joanna, "My friends are coming, my friends are coming. Don't worry, I put them down." She didn't put anybody down, but they found a seat and they're sitting down, and they're all having a nice time. And Joanna's very happy that Andy's turned up, because she turned up, Andy particularly turned up because Joanna likes him. Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so Diri doesn't seem to like the camera. I think I can understand this actually. He doesn't like the camera. Look at his hair. Look at his hair. If I had hair like that, I wouldn't like the camera either, you know what I'm saying? So, so Diri shaved all that off now, so apparently his shyness with the camera is now no longer, he's no longer shy with the camera, because he's got no hair to be embarrassed of. Okay, so the bride and groom are now dancing on the dance floor, and my friend Video Rassis, I keep on talking about him. I think he's George. I'm not too sure his name, but his £18,000 worth of special effects. Have a look. It's just a simple circle. And oh look, there's a few little fireworks going on here. You know, really flash. Absolutely awful. These are actually awful effects for the money he spent for his camera and everything. So my friend Video Russ is the professional. He's got his sound plugged into the PA system of the musicians. Now that is actually being professional. I'm not saying anything about that, but it makes the music clearer, but you lose the atmosphere of the place. What am I talking about? Let's listen to a bit of Video Russ's version with the PA system, which is actually the whole wedding. The whole wedding is piped into the PA system. That's the system in the music, so it goes directly into his his video, so you have crisper and cleaner sound, but you don't hear the atmosphere of the people talking. So let's just have a listen to his version. Okay, so remember, I've taken my video camera, my simple 8mm plain video camera, and have a look at the same scene played now. You could say that's noisy, you could say that was bad, but it had an atmosphere when you did that, and I just felt the whole of Joanna's wedding, nice wedding as as it is, but the atmosphere somehow is missing. It's like you're watching it and you sort of think, oh my god, if you were there, would you really get up and dance? I can't really explain it. You either know what I'm talking about or I'm not. But that wasn't how it really was at that wedding. It was like it was when I filmed with my 8mm. So, have a look at the nice cake. I mean, I thought, just have a look at it. It's grand. She's got the traditional fountain underneath, which, you know, everyone seems to have used that fountain. It must be at Joanna's house or something, and everyone seems to make a cake around that fountain. I think that was actually a spentabulous cake. Okay, and then you have this, and you just watch this bit. So I'm dancing with Niggy, and I'm asking her, what do you think of the cake? And she shakes her head as if to say, oh, no, it's not good. In Zila, you know, okay, your friend Bebs makes cakes. She makes nice cakes, but I'm going to say it, I'm not going to beat about the bush here. She has made nice cakes from the millennium onwards. At this time, Beb used to make awful looking cakes. I remember I did the video of Bumbo's godson, and I saw this cake, and have a look. I'm going to do an illustration of what I thought of the cake. I wanted to actually go to his godson, the groom, and say, do you want me to film that cake because it's such a lot of crap? And in the end of the wedding, he actually said thank you for the cake. He said, I wouldn't have said thank you for the cake, you know, so don't say anything about that cake. That's a fantastic cake. Even Niggy's dad, Theodosi, said not only was that the best cake, it's the best cake he's ever tasted. That was actually stolen. You actually see them taking the pieces away. They were stealing the cake in the kitchen. I never got a piece of that cake, so I don't know what it tastes like. But Theodosi was actually saying that was actually the best cake he's ever tasted. But Niggy, you know, sort of throws his little, her little zilla. Oh yeah, the cake's no good. I said, well, Beb used to make absolutely crappy cakes in that year, 1991. Okay, so now we see Joanna and George doing the money dance. Now, the emphasis here is on money. Okay, so we already told you the story where Joanna used to go around to everybody and say, you know, make sure you got plenty of money on you on that day. Make sure you got plenty of money, just so you could put money on the bride. I thought that was, I wouldn't even say that was common. You know that is not even being done by the commonest people, to go around actually telling everybody to put money, you know, make sure you got money and make sure this and that, and of course you got the situation where we just showed you the guy that was working in Joanna's cab and said, you know, are you inviting us for the money or what? You know what I'm saying? He says, no, she says, I'm inviting Andy because I like him. You know, you know, stuff like that. But you know, you give your money, and so what do you give your money for? Obviously, you know, when you give money to Joanna, you put on the bride, or you put in your Gambara's money, you're doing it to help them, aren't you? So how do you help them? Maybe they're using the money for a deposit on a house or a down payment on a flat or something, or maybe if you really need a car, you know, you buy that, you know, you're doing it for that. No, let's not do that. Let's spend all the money on a holiday to Florida, you know, you know what I'm saying? So she was telling everybody, make sure you bring the money so that she would have extra spending money in Florida. I thought that was quite funny, but the point is you have this best man, and we find out the name of this best man because of the title sequence. He says his name is Evros. I said, you know, I don't know, it's you know, for a Greek name, it's slightly a little, how am I going to put it, you know, sort of, let's put it this way, Video Rassi will say that he's from Gay's Hospital, you know, he's at a guy's hospital. But he is the guy who's in charge of collecting the money. This little guy from Cyprus who can't read the English names on the ribbon. You know, we actually went up to him and said, well, aren't you going to collect the money? He goes, well, he said, I didn't understand the names on the ribbon. So he just neglected them, just, discarded them. Well, Joanna's losing money. She should have chosen a best man that was going to be a little bit more, someone like Theo. Theo would have been perfect. 30 quid. Come on, 30 quid. Come on, cough up the money. You know what I'm saying? I like him to go up to that mafia man and say, 30 quid. He goes, 30 quid? How much did you say? Yeah, I'll give you the 30 quid. You know what I'm saying? And the last thing I'm going to say about it, really bad, but Puyuka's paid for the wedding. That's her dad, Joanna's dad, paid for the whole wedding, and then said to Joanna, look, when I put money, it's a Greek thing, you know, he wanted to show that he's putting money on the bride. It's a Greek piece of pride. I don't say anything about that. And he just said to Joanna, do you mind if I take the money back that I'm going to put on you? And Joanna said, no. I said, that's the kind of help, you know, that, you know, that's the appreciation that Joanna gave to her dad. Well, you see it at this point that he's putting the money on. I don't know what arrangement they had in the end, but there it is. And I know I insulted the guy before. Overo's not really on this, but out of the corner of the screen, you see Overo putting his £10 on it. And I said last time in an evaluation that Joanna's very happy with that 10 quid, as if, you know, she should be happy with every 10 quid that she got. She wouldn't be happy with that 10 quid. She'd actually slam it in his face, you know, sort of put 10 quid on the bride. But the point is Overo and Tony didn't even have a place at that wedding. So, you know, that 10 quid was just something that Joanna got, you know, for nothing. But there you go. Okay, so here we have the Gumbarus dancing. Yeah, we have Evros, you know, Evros, the effeminate man who has to collect the money, who doesn't do a good job. He can't even dance, you know. I would have expected that from someone with a name like Evros. But the thing is, I don't want to be bad here. Have a look at this. You get Andoni dancing. Andoni is dancing with the groom, a groom that he's never seen before. They know Joanna slightly, but he's got up and danced in front of me. So, you know, you're probably wondering, Andy, what's wrong with that? Well, let me give you an example of what I think's wrong with that. Say I'm in a football team, and I'm in a football team with Messi, Beckham and Ronaldo. They've invited me to play in their football team, as unlikely as that could be. And then there's a penalty shot. And I go and take the penalty shot without even asking them and miss. Do you know what I'm saying? Or maybe if you didn't get that analogy, how about this analogy? It's like, say for instance, Andoni, it's a Bambo had a wedding, for instance, and say I go up and put my little bandolier on before the parents have put money on the bride. It's that lack of respect. I mean, I love Andoni. I think he's the greatest guy in the world. But this is something that, you know, I will never forget. I thought it was quite gutsy of him, really. But you know, the same kind of guts that I can have putting my bandolier on and shooting that penalty as well. So here's my turn to dance. Now I don't think it's my most charismatic performance, but I think it's a good performance. I had a major operation 6 weeks before Joanna's wedding. I won't go into exactly what I had, but I couldn't walk for about 3 or 4 of those weeks. I was determined to dance at Joanna's wedding, but up until Joanna's wedding I couldn't squat. So I had you know, stitches in my groin almost. But then suddenly, the day before Joanna's wedding, I could actually squat. But unfortunately, I didn't practice enough. This, you know, you can see me squatting here. It's not a great performance, but at least I've got an excuse.
Thank you.
And this is a great dancer. The thing I like about this guy is he's got the tenacity, he's got the tharos, he's got the guts to actually come into a wedding with a Hawaiian shirt. I've got nothing against that. I like that kind of confidence. The guy can dance. He's dancing on his heels here, and if you have a look later on, you see him dancing with a glass on his head and stuff. So he looks like he's the professional business. A very good dancer. And this guy here is the son of Sula's hairdresser, who I used to know. He used to be part of the Greek school. And this guy, who was actually in EastEnders, he was the walk-on at that particular time, so 1991. He was actually in EastEnders. There's one scene, I know I've got these scenes at home, I wish I had them here to show you. There's one scene where he's in the cab and he's on the telephone, and Mark Fowler, you know, Todd Carty comes up to him and says, "Give me the phone," and he just passes the phone to him. And you see him in the background, you know, where you see the market and everything, and he's always in the background. So at this particular time, he was in EastEnders all the time, a bit of a model. But as I said, I have actually got those scenes on tape. I haven't got them here. Maybe one day I'll show you them. And just to finish off that, the band calls him Paul Walsh.
You look like Paul Walsh.
Yeah, Paul Walsh was a Tottenham player, and he had a reputation of punching. He punched somebody. I can't remember if he punched his manager. He got really upset, probably by being substituted or anything. But you know, I used to joke, you know, that the band sort of says to him, you know, of course this didn't happen, but the band says to him, "You look like Paul Walsh," and he says, "Well, if I look like him, I might as well act like him," and then punches him, you know. So yeah, just a bit of history for you. And here we have Johnny. This is Andy's uncle. Very nice guy, and he wasn't a Gumbaros, but you can see that. Look, just watch this. You can see that, you know, the singer saying, "Deyone," you know, come on, you know, they need Gumbaros. You know, George was looking all around for Gumbaros. There just wasn't any. He said, "Come on, get in and finish." And he looks like he's going to hit him almost, but he comes in, he does his Gumbaros dance. He can't have been so upset about doing that, because later on, have a look at this. You know, he's doing the Bendozali, and he's perfectly happy, you know, dancing around, you know, and having a good time in front of everybody. And the highlights by my friend Video Rassis, you know, that Miss Video Perfection. I've never seen highlights rushed like this. I haven't corrected this at all. I've left it in as it is. But he's just gone dib, 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 you know. Hopefully it all works. It doesn't all work. It's probably one of the worst highlight scenes I've ever seen. So that was the conclusion of Joanna's wedding. All about the money, especially this one. At least, you know, I respect Joanna. At least she didn't beat about the bush and tried to say, like other people, oh, the wedding's not about the money. Weddings are always about the money. I don't care which wedding. I've been to 101 weddings, Greek weddings. You know, it is all about the money, how much you spend and how much you think you're going to get back. Obviously nowadays, one day I'll talk about the history of Greek weddings, but nowadays people want to have a nice hall, nice flash hall. Nothing wrong with that, but they want to get a return for that. And with Joanna's wedding, that return, you know, but you know, with old Evros, you know, you're not going to get much of a return. So obviously in Florida, Joanna didn't have as much spending money as she wanted, you know. And the last thing to say is with Video Rassis, what a prat. I mean, I don't think he even actually reaches prat status. You know what I'm saying? He did have to work a bit harder. He hasn't reached that status. You know, I don't want to insult the legitimate prats that are really out there. You know what I'm saying? He's made a lot of bobos. But anyway, that's all I've got to say about it. I hope you all watched and enjoyed, and I'll see you again another time.